Hello my dear friends, let's dive into today's story. In the quiet village of Whisper Hill, nestled between two sleepy hills, everyone knew everyone, and everyone knew everything. Or at least, that's what they believed. News traveled fast, but not always truthfully. At the heart of the village lived a young girl named Elsie. She was curious, bright-eyed, and always asking questions. Her favorite place was the bakery, not for the pastries, but for the stories old Mr. Bram would tell as he needed dough. Tales of talking animals, wandering spirits, and magic lakes. Elsie adored stories. She didn't mean harm, but sometimes she repeated things. She'd heard bits of conversations, little secrets. And with each telling, the stories grew just a little more exciting. One morning, Elsie overheard something behind the blacksmith's shop. A whispered sentence, a name, a secret. Her eyes lit up not with mischief, but with wonder. She thought, it's just a story. What harm could it do? She smiled and began to share. Elsie first shared the secret with her friend Thomas as they walked past the fountain. Don't tell anyone, she said, eyes wide. But Thomas, curious and eager to impress, told two more friends. Within a day, the secret had taken on wings. By sunset, villagers whispered in corners. The blacksmith's wife, once respected and kind, now walked with her head low. Rumors had twisted the truth, adding shadows to something harmless. Whispers turned to stares. Stares turned to silence, Elsie noticed. The bakery grew quiet. Mr. Bram's smile faded. Words, he told her, are like feathers in the wind. Once released, they're impossible to gather again. Elsie's heart sank. She hadn't meant to hurt anyone. It had just been a story, a little detail, something exciting to share. But now, something had changed in trust had frayed, and no one looked at the blacksmith's wife the same. And Elsie knew this wasn't just a story anymore. Guilt gnawed at Elsie like a cold wind through her chest. She wanted to fix it, to make it right, but how do you catch something that's already flying? She walked through the village, but no one looked her in the eyes. Not even the blacksmith's wife, whose warm greetings were now replaced with tight, quiet nods. Elsie returned to Mr. Bram. What do I do? She whispered. The old baker looked at her gently and handed her a pillow filled with down feathers. Take this to the hilltop, he said, and release them into the wind. Confused but obedient, Elsie did as told. The wind scattered the feathers in all directions. When she returned, Mr. Bram asked, now go and gather every feather. That's impossible, Elsie cried. They're gone, everywhere. He nodded. Just like words, once spoken, they scatter in ways we cannot control. Elsie felt the weight of her mistake. She had a choice. Stay silent and let the rumor live, or face the truth, confess, and risk judgment. Her hands trembled, but her heart decided. The next morning, Elsie stood in the village square. Her voice was small at first, but it grew as she spoke. The rumor you've all heard about the blacksmith's wife, it started with me. I didn't mean harm, but I let a whisper become a wound. The crowd stood in silence. Some crossed their arms, others raised eyebrows. But a few softened. I was wrong, she continued. I can't take back what I said, but I can tell you the truth now, and I can ask for forgiveness. She turned to the blacksmith's wife. I'm sorry. There was a long pause. Then, slowly, the woman stepped forward. Her eyes were tired, but kind. Words hurt, she said gently, but truth begins with courage. That day, something shifted. Whispers faded. People began speaking more carefully. The bakery filled again, not just with stories, but with listening, true listening. Elsie still told tales, but now she chose them with care. And sometimes, silence spoke loudest of all. Now, my little friends, let's think about the story. Can you recall the main lesson it shared? It's a reminder for us all. Before we pass on a tale, whether it's exciting or not so pleasant, we should consider its truth and impact. We must be careful not to let our curiosity lead to hurtful whispers. Sometimes, the best response to a rumor is simply not to feed it. If we listen more and speak less, we'll have fewer stories to distort and spread. And remember, when we make a mistake, admitting it with bravery can start the journey towards making things right. And that, my dear friends, concludes our story for today. If you liked this tale and want more just like it, don't forget to show your support. Until next time, keep choosing kindness and being the hero of your own story. Thank you for watching.